Hello and welcome to Get Focused with Bill K and Gina Fay. Hey Gina, how are you today?
I'm very well, thank you, Bill. How about you?
I'm doing very well.
Good. I'm happy to hear.
Oh, before we get started, I just wanted to tell you I was looking up the what it takes to compete in the Ironman triathlon event out in Hawaii. So it's not till September, October.
You're not
So
telling
we'll
me
see.
you are not telling me you're thinking of doing it.
I'm thinking, you have to qualify to be at that event because that's the World Champions.
Woo!
It's the World Championship. So I have to earn my way onto there. So
Well, but you're in the process
it
of doing that. You are in the process
well,
of doing it.
yes, I have to get out there and compete. So I have to. There's a couple events I have to do prior to that in order to
Oh,
qualify.
wow, Bill,
But
that'd be amazing.
if it wasn't this year, 2019, this coming year, I should say, um, it would more than likely be 2020, just because I've never competed. So
Yeah.
you know, we'll see what happens.
Well, you
But
can take it as a given that as long as I have enough lead time, you've got somewhere to stay.
well, thank you very much.
Of course, of course, and that happens in on the Big Island.
Yes, I believe so.
Do you know which side?
Kona,
Yeah,
Kona.
okay. So the Kona side, yeah, yeah,
That's the opposite of you, correct?
yeah, yeah. It's about 2 hours away.
Okay. I
Not the
drive that one way to work.
Yeah. I'm saying, it's all relative. It's just what you're used to. But here on the island, that's like a day's journey to people. Like, oh my God, I gotta go to Kona.
I
Ah,
know.
ah. It's so funny. Like,
Well, you've seen the difference between people from the East Coast and the West Coast. I mean, everybody reacts so differently. It's pretty interesting,
it's
but
fascinating.
it is, but it's really not when you think of. And I know we have a different topic we want to get into, but
That's
when you
okay.
think of geographically,
Yeah,
the size of the United States compared to the rest of the world. I mean, you
yeah.
go to Europe, I mean, people go between France and Spain
Without
and
thinking enough.
y- yeah. And honestly, that's just like going from New York to New Jersey,
Yeah,
or Pennsylvania to New Jersey.
yeah.
So, but we think of going from across the country as a very long distance, and it is, but that's sort of like going from Spain to China, probably. So,
If you could do that overland, could you do that overland?
I don't know. I'd have to
I
look.
don't know either. I think you might have to have. I don't know. I'm not even gonna.
You might need a little rowboat.
Yeah. so, so, uh, what was I gonna say? Oh yeah,
You're going to say about our topic today.
no, I was not
Okay,
actually.
go ahead.
There was
Go ahead.
one more thing I wanted to say about the last topic. So don't push me, buddy. Oh,
Don't
all
push
right.
me.
Don't push me.
Okay.
So what I was just gonna say is like these days, for me, going into the nearest town, which is Hilo, which is like 20 miles away, is like, oh
Right.
my God, I can only do that once a week. That's like too far to go. I mean,
20
eh.
miles.
And I better really like make a list of what I need when I go because I don't want to forget anything and have to go back again before the week is over.
I know.
God,
Two
God.
times in a week.
It's too funny. It's just, and when I first got here, I was back and forth to Hilo just about every day.
Yeah. Now look at you. You're just
Now look,
becoming a local.
it's really kind of scary. So,
Yeah.
so you just went out again. Your camera just went out again, just so you know.
Okay. Well, I'll mess with it.
Okay.
But go
So,
ahead. Tell everyone about our topic.
well, I've been following from, to my mind, one of uh, one of our most brilliant contemporary writers and philosophers on Facebook and reading his books, and I just think I think he's wonderful. He hits the nail on the head so well, and his name is Jeff Brown. And I just bought a book, another one of his books, because I have several of his books, and this one is called Love It Forward,
I
and
like
it's
that.
just a random collection of some of his musings about life and relationships and I don't know, just living, really. And so, what I thought might be fun for this time of year is to kind of just flip through the pages without either of us seeing where it's going to land. I'll flip, which I'm doing right now, and you say stop, and then you say right or left, and then,
Stop.
oh, okay, right,
Left.
okay, okay, okay. Actually, the this can come together because the one on the left is a little bit longer. The one on the right is like two sentences. So I thought I would read them. Well, I could read them separately. Let's see what happens with the first one, and then we can just talk about our take on it, what it means to us. And then if we run out of stuff to say, we can go to the next one or we can do it again. Does that sound good?
Sounds perfect.
Okay. So
Is
what
my
this,
camera working?
yeah, you just came back
Okay.
on. Yeah.
Okay.
So, okay, what, that you just went out again. Did you do that on purpose?
No, I
All
didn't.
right.
I don't know what
Because
it is.
I saw that grin on your face and I thought you might, yep, it just happened again. It's so weird. It's almost like you're playing with me. If I didn't know better.
I'm not doing a thing.
Yeah.
I know I like to mess with you, but I'm not on this one.
I know. That's yeah, exactly. All right. So I'm going to read it, and
Okay.
then if you want, I can read it again because or not. Okay.
All right. Well, let's just read it, would you?
Are you,
Please.
are you pushing me here?
No, not at all.
Nah. Yes, you are, Bill. All right. All right. So he says, describing a life fueled by callings and sacred purpose only in big terms is misleading. Some of us are called to a large visible canvas, yet that path is no more valuable or true or profound than a more subtle path. For many of us, sacred purpose lies in the private places, in the emotional healings, in the shifting patterns, in the warm breezes of transition. It is all sacred purpose whenever we expand in karmic stature. It is all good/God whenever we deepen in awareness.
Interesting. It's a long one to digest.
Want me to read it again?
Okay. Well, how about we do this? It's how many sentences? I want to break it down.
2, 3, 4, 5 sentences.
Okay, let's start with the beginning.
How many sentences?
I don't know. Just read. Let's see.
Describing a life fueled by callings and sacred purpose only in big terms is
See,
misleading.
exactly. So when you first read that, I heard that part. So what I sensed in there is don't get too technical trying to describe a life, right?
No, it's not what I take from it.
No?
No,
Okay.
not well. Okay, so I'll tell you right up front what this made me think of. It made me think of a real awareness, a real epiphany, if you like, that I had
Okay.
about this very thing, as at least I understand it. Because years ago now, I remember thinking to myself, what the hell have I accomplished? This is before
Okay.
this is before I became a therapist. I haven't built any bridges. I haven't made a name for myself. I haven't really accomplished anything out there. And I mulled on this and mulled on this, and I felt not great about myself. But then it dawned on me that maybe it wasn't for me this time around to build a big building or to uh, a bridge or any to do anything that other people could actually see in concrete terms. Maybe
Okay.
my, maybe my job in this particular life was to continue to pay attention to myself and grow emotionally and learn in a more subtle way, as he says. Maybe that's my calling. Maybe that's it. So it doesn't have to be anything, you know, that
Grandiose.
grandiose. Yeah.
Well,
Because
I definitely, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
that's okay.
I definitely agree with you with that statement of being aware of that. I tend to feel the same. I go through this from time to time as well. It's what have I done? What difference have I made? You know, trying, in a sense, comparing or measuring our own accomplishments against other people's accomplishments that we, for some reason, put this label of being big or better, right? Like someone having a library named after them, or a
Yeah,
bridge, or a
that,
foundation.
exactly.
And really, uh, we talk about this a lot. What the difference we make is the difference in what we and who we touch on a daily basis, right? From our circle, our radius of our existence. And, you know, just because we don't have the publicity in a sense doesn't mean it doesn't matter.
Well, and equally, even if we, I mean, that's measuring our success or impact on the impact we have on others, but maybe the root of that is the impact we have on ourselves.
Yes.
Maybe everything flows from that. And maybe that in and of itself is sufficient. If we bring ourselves to a point, maybe away from self-loathing and closer to self-love, away from, negative self-talk to a greater acceptance, maybe that is colossal for the individual we are at that moment.
Yes, I definitely can see that, because that also leads to everything that we just said.
Yeah,
One of the things that you opened my eyes to was, in order to give someone else or have help someone else, is to first love and give to myself.
yeah.
And what's the title of the book again?
Love it
Love
for,
it forward.
yeah.
So how do you love it forward? You
If you
first
don't
have to
have it,
love it within.
if you don't have it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you have to love within first.
Yeah.
So yes, okay, next line.
Next line. I'm going to read the first line. I'm going to read the first line again and then add the
Okay.
second. Okay.
Yeah.
So, describing a life fueled by callings and sacred purpose only in big terms is misleading.
Yes.
Some of us are called to a large visible canvas, yet that path is no more valuable or true or profound than a more subtle path.
Yeah. So it's exactly like what we just said. There's people that are on the big stage,
Yep.
that have a lot of visibility.
Yep.
But see, to me, in that aspect, that person that's up on that big stage and has that big visibility, do we really know who they are? We know who they are on that big stage or that big canvas.
We
But
knew we
when they're
know we know who we see them to be. We know
Yes,
who we interpret them to be.
yes. But when, so to me, it goes back to my military. You need the generals, you need the colonels, the sergeant majors, but you also need the privates, the PSCs,
Yep.
and the specialists. Everyone is important.
Yep. Yep. And no one and actually I remember somebody pointing out to me or reading somewhere that comparisons are pointless. You'll
Yes.
always find someone more successful or better off than you. You'll always
Or
find
perceived.
or perceived to be or you'll always be able to perceive somebody else as being more successful than you, and you'll always be able to perceive somebody as being less successful than you. So what's the point of comparisons at all? Why bother with them?
I agree.
So for many of us, sacred purpose lies in the private places, in the emotional healings, in the shifting patterns, in the warm breezes of transition.
Yes. I know that our first year together was a big year of transition for myself,
Yeah, yeah.
and really learning about me and understanding my purpose, which, even to this point, I have a better visual, but it's always being worked on. So
and being able to tolerate that place of not being sure, that place of transition,
Yeah.
that place of chaos before order. That in itself is a huge learning thing. Then he goes on to say, it is all sacred purpose whenever we expand in karmic stature.
Okay, so yes, it is all sacred,
Yep.
our expansion. Now,
Yep.
karmic. What do you feel about that?
What do I feel? I feel excited when I think about karma. Do you mean what do I think?
Okay, what do you think? Start it.
Well, I always knew on a deep level that karma was something real, and reincarnation actually was for me something real, but I didn't know why, and I didn't know anything concrete, any details. But then I read a really wonderful book called Many Mansions, which clarified for me what those things mean. And so for me, karma is the law, the universal law that through lifetimes, and this requires an acceptance or a belief in reincarnation as well. But the theory, I think, behind karma is in order for us to really learn, we have to experience situations from every different aspect. So, for example, someone who steals in one lifetime, someone who makes a career out of stealing
Okay.
will likely find themselves being stolen from in another lifetime. That's the law of karma. The the spirit is the same, the energetic being is the same. The behavior, though, that they're engaged in, the dynamic that they're engaged in, is different. So if a person is able to steal from someone else, it just says that they haven't learned that that has a really profound impact on the other person. So, in order to learn about the impact it has on another person, somebody could preach to them from morning till night. But in reality, until that person has the experience of being stolen from, they're not going to get it as clearly.
Makes sense.
So, likewise, I mean, there are many, many, many things that I learned from reading this book called Many Mansions.
Okay.
Another way of doing it is the theory is that if someone is an abuser in a lifetime, be it sexual, be it emotional, be it physical, being whatever, it's not outside the realms of possibility that in the next lifetime they get to be on the receiving end of that treatment.
But is that us telling ourselves this to accept? So if someone's stealing from me, does it make it easier for me to accept it by saying, well, he'll get his or she'll get hers?
I don't know. I don't know.
Because see,
Maybe
that's how I always look at karma. Because I think it has a lot to do with how people use the terminology.
people
Um,
really abuse that word a lot and misunderstand that word.
well, if you really think about, there's a whole dictionary full of stuff that we apply our own personal meanings to.
Every single
And And
everything.
I agree. Karma is one of those terms that people just, and that's what I mean by, are they saying it? Are they using it to satisfy their own?
I'm sure some are. I'm sure some are. Just like the expression, well, what goes around comes around.
Yeah.
It's true, but I think that it's in a broader, it's on a broader scale, and I don't think it's about punishment. I think it's more an opportunity to be presented with
And to learn.
learning something on a very personal level that you might not otherwise have learned. So,
Yeah. See, to me,
okay,
I agree with that. I like looking at it from the perspective of learning
yeah,
because, because, uh, it's just like you know, ye who has no sin can cast the first stone, right?
let he who is without sin cast
Sin
the
cast
first
the first
stone.
stone.
That's right.
So,
Yeah.
it's the same concept when it comes to karma, right? Now, I understand that not everyone steals or not everyone, but taking a piece of candy from someone is stealing just as breaking into someone's car. Okay. So it's still the same kind of mindset. And that's where I get to, oh, karma or this or karma. Because we all experience, we all test limits at certain points in different times. Some more severe than others, understandable. But I think that to judge someone based upon, I mean, I just had my car broken into. I've had a ton of stuff taken and had to replace all the sporting equipment and everything.
Oh, bummer. I didn't know.
Well, yeah, that was about a month or so ago. Thanks, November timeframe. But at first, you're angry, right? But
Wait,
then
wait. Who's angry at
I'm
first?
angry. I'm angry. First, I'm angry. So, but when it boils down to it, yes, it's hard to get over that anger. But in the same aspect, I don't know what mindset or where that person was coming from or what was going on or what was happening. There's a lot of factors involved, and it doesn't justify it, but it doesn't, I you
But
just
but
don't know.
but but along those lines, you're absolutely and completely free. Every one of us is to 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 be resentful and furious and hold on to that resentment and fury as long as we want to about that behavior. And
Right.
we're kind of going off track a little bit, but we do. So, but for what it's worth, there's the expression that says holding on to anger, holding on to resentment, fill in the blank, is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. So who really loses the longer you hold
Right.
on to that anger? Who really is paying a price for that? The
You
person
are.
the person who broke into your car? I don't think so.
No.
So it's your choice, how do you, but, and I agree. It's interesting, I think, the point that you raise about um, is there a difference substantially between stealing a bar of candy and breaking into somebody's car? And I think, you know, all other things being equal, I think the act itself is the same.
Correct.
But what I think, and I think also the effect of karma varies with the degree of severity of the behavior and the lesson that has to learn, has to be taught in that moment, in that around that activity.
Yes.
In the book, Many Mansions, it's written by a woman called Gina Terminara, and she I don't know how much you know about Edgar Casey. Do you know anything about Edgar?
No, no.
Edgar Casey was called the reluctant prophet because he was he lived around the early 1900s, and he was a very poor, brought up in a very poor family. Dad had died. Dad had been a preacher. They were fundamentalist Christians. He wanted nothing more than to be a preacher, following his dad's footsteps. When he was about 15 or 16, he lost his voice chronically He had no voice for weeks. This is all true. This is documented. He really did exist. So, anyway, a friend of his, this was around the time that hypnosis was becoming popular.
Okay.
So, a friend of his invited him to go see a hypnotist. And he went and he allowed himself to be hypnotized. And when he was under hypnosis, he could speak. Not only could he speak, but he could prescribe what he needed to do to regain his voice.
Interesting.
And so he did. All of this was, noted, and he healed himself. As a result, well, his first reaction was terror. He's a fundamentalist Christian young man, and he was certain that this was the devil's work.
Right. Sorcery.
He didn't want any part of it. However, his mother convinced him that it was holy work. And as a result, he agreed to be hypnotized again on the condition that whenever he was in trance, there would be someone in the room transcribing every single word he said. He worked probably for 45, 50 years doing this work. And he went from being able to prescribe what a person needed to heal their physical body when he sat with that person in their presence, to being able to astral project to where that person was that he was trying to do a reading for. And it was very accurate. He would say he would travel 50, 60, 70 miles to diagnose people in trance.
Oh, wow.
And he would describe what the person was wearing. He would describe the orientation of the person that they were laying in. And he was always accurate. Turns out he had a long, long history of being a healer in lots of different civilizations. So he had much knowledge, and he had access to that knowledge while he was in trance.
Right. It's
Furthermore,
subconscious.
yeah, furthermore, he started being able to do what he called karmic readings of people and explain to them what behaviors in a previous life had created the dilemma that they found themselves in this life. And why this had a huge impact on me is, and this is pretty personal stuff here, but I'm
Right.
going to go out on a limb. It's all right. But it really impacted me because I, at the time, as a young woman, was highly, highly judgmental of other people. Highly judgmental. And at the same time, I was extremely obese. I was 310 pounds at my peak. And so that put me in a position of being judged a whole lot.
Right. Right.
Edgar Cayce talked about in his readings, he talked about a young woman who he encountered who was morbidly obese, and nothing she could do would enable her to lose weight. She was like in a prison of her own body. She could barely move. When he did a karmic reading on her, turns out that she was an extraordinarily skillful and talented athlete in Greece
Right.
who looked down on everybody who was not as talented as her.
Crazy. So the karma of a
Cause and
previous, yeah,
cause and effect. You want to judge other people? Okay.
yeah, we'll
Here you
put you in the
go.
position.
Here you go. What do you think? You want to keep
See,
judging people?
now that makes much more sense because when a lot of people use karma and the term and the use of karma, they kind of use it in almost an immediate response. Like, you stole the candy, you ran out in the street and got hit by the car. Well, that's karma.
Karma's a bitch.
Yeah.
No, that was a car. That was a
Yeah, that was
car,
a car.
not a karma.
That's with a C. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. What's the next line?
That was it.
Now, okay.
Yeah. Well, no, actually, it's all good, God,
Yes.
whenever we deepen in awareness. That's it.
Okay. So basically, he's talking about you don't have to be. Everyone's important. Everything we do is important. Karma. What about karma?
What he said, well, what got us on that was it's all sacred
Karmatic.
purpose. It's all sacred purpose whenever we expand in karmic stature. So I guess it really means whenever we are open to learning,
Yeah.
whenever we recognize that it really is all about learning and not about punishment. And again, another thing that really made an impact on me that I heard recently was, you have the option of deciding that things happen to you, or you can decide that things happen for you.
I like the for you part.
Me too. Me too.
Yeah, I definitely. My business partner, we just had a couple discussions over the past few weeks about many things, and one of the things that I've taken away from it is that to learn from this, and for me to make changes for within me and how I approach things and how I'm going at certain things,
That's
and
the
not
only,
wait on other people.
that's the only place you have any real power.
Yeah, because I definitely I know I'm guilty of it, and I'm sure there's people listening that are guilty of it too. That uh, I want to make a change. I want something to change. I want things to be better or not be better or however, but I want something different, correct? And a lot of times we put that onus on, well, as soon as they do this, I'll do that. Well, why you don't have to wait for them to do
Yeah,
that.
good luck with that.
Right. And see that's the challenge that I face all the time is that I tend to be very passive and go, well, you know, one more week, I'll let them, and that's the part where I said I have to step up.
Yeah, well, for me, what it sounds like that's kind of the core issue that's about is not owning your own power, being more inclined to give your power away, to defer to others, to wait on action, on following your heart until you kind of get the okay from someone outside of you.
Yes, that, and also again, we can go to previous guests and many different topics, but the monkey mind, um, it's putting the blame somewhere else and not owning it and realizing that I am already predicting the outcome without committing the action. So go do the action. Maybe it'll be a different outcome. Maybe it won't. Maybe it will. But you don't know unless you do it.
Well, yeah, and that goes back to those 4 rules of living: show up, tell the truth, be present,
Present
and the big one, don't be attached to outcomes.
outcomes.
Because being attached to outcomes will open the door for you not going through that door. That will hold you back from going through the door of action. Because you're telling yourself, I won't do this until A, B, and C, until someone that's being attached to an outcome.
Right.
A, B, and C has got to happen in order for me to do this. But that's just a cop out. It's actually not accurate. A, B, and C do not have to happen for you
I
to do
know.
for you to do D at all. And in fact, you're cheating yourself. You're holding yourself back unnecessarily.
Yes, but that's the switch, right? That's the thing where I wish I could get hypnotized and go inside and flip that switch because and I don't I feel that I put myself
You
out
think,
there.
you think. Where do you
I
feel that
think
in your
I
body?
think I think I feel it in my heart. How about that? I think that I put myself out there way more than I have in the past.
Oh,
but
I'm sure there's no question about that.
I still know I need to do more, you know, in order to accomplish what it is that I want to accomplish.
But what I hear there, what I hear embedded in that is a core belief that I am not good enough. I'm not doing enough. I need to do more. In order to be acceptable to me and to the world, I still have more to do.
Well, I feel I still have more to give, definitely, and I want to be able to
Stop.
do that.
You want, so how are you not able to do that?
Well, like I said, I don't.
How are
I'm
you
not.
stopping yourself?
How am I? What?
How are you stopping yourself giving? If you have more to give, how are you not giving full heartedly every single day in your life?
Well, I want to reach more people. I want to speak to
So
more
it's not
people.
enough. So there's a core belief that says, I'm not enough. How
What
many
if
people,
what
Bill,
if
how
I
many,
think I'm more than enough?
Bill, but I don't think you do.
I
If
understand.
if you thought truly you were more than, or if you really thought you were enough, you'd be content with what you're doing right now, knowing that things are always changing. But you would not be putting off seeing yourself as good enough right in this moment and having it dependent on something that will happen in the future. How will you know when you've reached enough people so that you can finally be good enough?
Yeah, I know.
What's
I
the
get it.
number? What number is required?
I
A
don't. I
hundred?
don't. I,
A
I never
thousand?
sat and put a number.
But it might be useful to ask yourself that question because
But
you are telling yourself
I am telling
you're not
myself you
reaching
are
enough
correct.
people right now. You're not doing enough right now. One day you'll do enough so that you get to feel like you are enough. But you're making your feeling of being good enough depending on something outside of you. Reaching X number of people, that will suddenly make you feel good enough. My bet is if you reached 400,000 people, if you don't change that core belief about yourself that being good enough is a place you can get to in the future, at that point you'll tell yourself, well, I reach 400,000 people, but I need to reach 500,000 to really get it right. It's still not enough.
Well, how about we do that and then we could see. I'm just saying.
You're such a brat.
So what do you say? It's December 26th
It is. I agree
of
with you.
2018.
It is.
So if December 26th of 2019 we're at 400,000 people, we'll have this discussion.
Okay.
No, I understand. I appreciate it. But it is difficult for me.
I
It is
know.
difficult. That is the biggest challenge that I face is accepting.
Yourself
Yeah.
as you are right this moment. Me too. I hope you don't imagine you're alone in this. I
No,
think
I don't.
all,
That's one of the reasons why I want to help more people because I know
well,
what it's like to be in this merry-go-round in my head.
yeah, but unless you get off the merry-go-round in your head, you're
You
not going to
can't
be
help
any
people.
use to anybody else.
I do get off from time to time. That's how I help people, but I do get back on. I cannot tell a lie. It is difficult to not get on the ride, okay? I don't smoke, I don't drink. Well, I drink
No,
occasionally.
wait. What I'm hearing now is justification.
No, I
And
know.
do you really want to do you really want to do yourself that disservice by
No, I
trying
know.
to
I'm just teasing.
justify, well, I don't drink and I don't
Just
smoke, so it
teasing.
really doesn't matter that I
You don't have to be so
you know
serious all
how
the time.
literate, you know how serious I am.
I know. I know. I love helping people. I
Okay,
love it forward. How about that?
okay, so what about loving people um do you love so much? What does it tell you about yourself? What does it mean to you about you that you're a man who loves to help people?
What does it mean to me?
Huh? What does it tell you about you? What do you
Well,
what do you like about how helping people makes you feel?
it makes me feel like I'm serving a purpose.
Makes you feel like you have a use.
Yes.
Okay. So it kind of justifies your own existence.
Yeah, I would say that.
So unless you help people, your existence has no value.
Well, I wouldn't say it has no value.
How about giving it a thought, a moment, a few beats before you
Beep
instantly
beep
jerk
beep
react?
beep. Because I think about this a lot. How about that?
Well, but I know, but I don't know that you really gave it an awful lot of thought before you came back with an answer. And I think it's a really important question.
Okay.
What
Okay.
would your life mean? Would your life be meaningless unless you justified your own existence by helping people?
No, I don't feel that my life would be meaningless. I don't how do I put it into words? I don't necessarily feel I justify my existence just because of helping people. I feel that um
You think, you don't
I
feel that
think
anywhere in
I
your
think
body.
I know I feel it in my hands. I think that okay, so a doctor. Why does a doctor enjoy what they do?
Well, do you have 5 hours?
No,
Every
but
single
see that
doctor, every single doctor does what they do for a different
different
reason.
reason. I understand that. Um, but a lot of times, in order to go into different things in life, there has to be some sort of uh, want or desire for that. Just well, let's take example you. Okay, you get up and you go in and you work with your patients and you help them. Why?
Because it's the thing that aside from singing, it's the thing that I do that makes me feel most connected to myself.
And if you want to hear Gina sing, if you go to her Facebook page, you can see some of her karaoke. It's very good, by the way. Okay, yes. So, okay, so how come it can't be that same for me? Because really that's what makes me uh okay, I'll use a perfect example. Last Thursday, I was at a client and there's a young salesperson there. And I was having questions with them, right? And whenever I meet a new salesperson that has never sold, or I like to sit there and role play in a sense, okay? Ask them, okay, so if I just walked in the door, what would you say? How would you say it? And I let them speak. And then I turn and I go, well, what if you said it this way? What if you did this? What if you did that? And you see their eyes open, you know, but and I tend to talk a lot. And I tell them, I talk a lot. Okay. So listen, take what you can. Give me a call, text me, email me. I'm available 24/7, whatever you need, right? And I'm going to be here the rest of the day. If you have any questions, come find me. So a couple hours later, he comes finds me, right? So now I know that he's hungry. He wants to learn. Okay, he wants to have a conversation. So we talk even more about it. He gets out his notepad and he starts writing. So I drove that. It was Thursday before Christmas, so traffic was extra heavy. So I drove those 4 hours home with the biggest smile
Right.
because
Okay.
I made a difference.
Okay. So how come that's not enough for you?
That
How
is enough, but I
well,
want to do that more. How about that?
why? Why? What's wrong with doing what you do? Why
No,
do
there
you
isn't anything wrong with doing what I do. I
so
just
how would it be if you allowed yourself to let that be enough in and of itself, complete and perfect in and of itself, every time you have those moments?
well, I do. I was very satisfied
But
and happy with that.
you're still saying, but I want to do it
Correct.
more.
Well,
So
yeah,
why? How come?
because
What
it
if
drives
what
me.
what if so what is it that
So what
drives
if that so what you're saying is if that was the last person.
you? No, that's not what I'm saying.
Okay.
That's not what I'm saying. What if you allowed yourself to be satisfied, fully satisfied with that, and not have an expectation of yourself that you have to do more of it? What if you just allowed that to happen organically and trusted that it would, instead of having that internal
Oh, well, I do. I mean, I definitely do allow, because I went into that day not with the anticipation of I have to do this. Does that make sense? It just happened. It honestly happened because I mean, I went looking for him because he wasn't sending enough emails. So I wanted to go talk to him if he understood how to complete the tasks and do the emails within the computer tool, the program. And we ended up on this whole other conversation, which led to all this, which was amazing. But again,
but I have to do more of it, because that what
no,
I
no, but
not enough. I have to do more of it. That's all I'm trying to point out to you, is that there's some kind of driver inside of you that says, yeah, this is great, but I have to do more because it's not enough.
correct.
What's the hunger? What's the hunger? What is fueling that hunger? How come you can't just relax and trust that you are perfectly good enough and what you're doing is enough? You can't do more than you're doing, in fact. And in imagining you need to do more than you're doing, you're taking away from what it is you're actually doing.
Right. Yes, Gina.
You're cheating yourself. You're cheating yourself.
Okay, I told you I work on this. This is what I
You're
have to
the
work
one that
on.
wanted to do on radio, on podcast therapy, buddy.
I
You
know,
have
I
to be
understand.
careful what you wish for.
Careful what you wish for. Okay, Gina.
Okay, Bill.
I,
How about
I love it forward.
one more quote from Jeff, and then we wrap
Okay.
up.
We'll wrap up on one
Wait,
more quote.
one more quote. So
Go
tell me
ahead.
when
Go,
to
go.
stop.
Stop.
Which side?
Left. You have to share it, you know?
Again, there's a longer one on the right and a shorter one on the left. And the shorter one says, love is just a concept until it's real, and then it makes no sense at all.
Wow. Isn't that the truth?
He's such a great writer.
Yeah, it's good. You're going to have to make sure we put that in the show notes.
He's got a Facebook page, and if you like his Facebook page, in your feed will come up quotes from him a couple of times a day, actually.
All right.
He's a
So
very prolific writer.
what we'll do is we'll make sure we put his Facebook, a link to his Facebook page
Yeah, it'd be great. Yeah.
in the
He
notes.
he just had an opportunity to go and do, at Margaret Trudeau's invitation, to
Mhm.
do a talk for a big organization that she's part of.
Very nice.
Yeah, he was a lawyer. He left the practice because it
Fulfilling.
just wasn't doing
He
it for
wanted to
him.
help more people.
I
Love you,
don't think
Gina.
he did. No, actually, you want to be a wise ass? I'm going to challenge
No,
you
no,
on
I'm not.
that. No, I don't think the impression that I get in how he would respond to that is, no, Bill, I didn't want to help more people, but I wanted to be more aligned with the truth of who I am. And there's a big difference there.
I understand that. And I feel that that is my goal as well.
Where do you feel it in
I
your
think that
body?
is my goal. Okay.
You're
I
so
have to go.
funny.
Thank you, Gina. It's been a pleasure. I'll see you in a month.
We're good. A month. I don't do monthly sessions. I only do weekly sessions.
Only do weekly sessions.
Yeah.
Okay. So we'll
So
make sure we do another one in a week,
All
even
right.
though it'll be next year. How about that?
All right, good.
Thank you, everyone, for listening. I hope you enjoyed Gina giving me a hard time. And I feel that, definitely feel that.
You know what? It's a dirty job, Bill, but somebody's got to do it.
Yes, I understand.
All right.
This is my karma. No, I love it. You know I do.
I know you do.
You help me, in so many ways you don't even know.
I know, but I have to help more people. This is not enough that
This
I'm
is
doing.
not enough.
I have to go
So
run.
exactly. So I agree. So anyone listening, share, share, share. How about that? Because Gina and I both need help.
That's the truth.
Yes. Thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful new year, and we'll talk to you soon.
Goodbye, everybody.